Entertainment World Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Westworld Season 3, Episode 1, and my thoughts on it. And I'm going to start off this by talking about the last two seasons and my thoughts on them very quick. I liked Season 1. I didn't think it was fantastic, and the fact people were trying to say that this was the new Game of Thrones for HBO was ridiculous in my opinion. But again, I liked the show. It was okay. But when I got to series, and I was excited for season 2, but then I watched it. And then when you hear that the whole show was changed because of the Me Too movement, you kind of lose faith in the writers. I mean, you made a plan out and you just scrapped everything because of the Me Too movement. Really? So, again, nothing wrong. Again, I agree with the Me Too movement. I agree with all of it. But I do agree with some of it, showing that Hollywood is a bunch of sexist and racist people, which is what Hollywood is. But let's not go into that tangent. So yes, Westworld got completely screwed in season 2, and their main character, Dolores, who was, I mean, the first season you felt very sorry for her, and then you wanted to be on her side when she began the uprising. But then in season 2, she just became a killer. I mean, that was it. That was her entire character in the episode, was just revenge and killing. And I know some writers were trying to say that she's freeing her people and she's just doing this because her people were abused that much. Well, yes, but if you make her a psycho killer, it kind of makes us not really want to be on her side. You know, killing bad people is one thing. Just killing a bunch of guests. Again, I know the guests are dickheads, but technically they didn't do anything wrong. The park was created for them to do things like that. Is it their fault? I mean, I pretty much see Westworld as just Grand Theft Auto, just reality. I mean, people do stupid stuff on Grand Theft Auto. Steal cars, kill people, kill police. I mean, I'm not really sure, but it just seems a bit stupid to have your entire world, I mean, to have her kill everybody she sees. Why not have her kill the bad guys that she remembers, or kill people who were killing innocent people? Why not have her leave a few guests alive? Like, I'm not evil like you, that's why I'm not going to kill you. No, she just started killing everybody and killing hosts and everything. And she abused Teddy, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, Teddy got really screwed by Dolores. He wasn't a killer like her, but she turned him into one and he couldn't handle it. That's why he blew his head off. So again, I'm just trying to start this off by trying to say that the lead character that they're trying to make the hero, she's not a hero, she's just a villain. And again, I don't think the writers are going to write her as a villain. I think they're going to write her as the hero of this entire season, which I just think is bullshit. So what are my thoughts on the episode? Because I've talked too much about Westworld. What are my thoughts about the episode? It was okay. It wasn't fantastic. I wasn't really gripped. I mean, you pretty much knew where it was going. She was going to kill people. She was going to, you know, we'd see a little bit of her plan. We wouldn't say all of it. I mean, it was just an okay episode. But it is the first episode. But I did expect more. But there you go. We also got introduced to a new character called Caleb. We find out about him in the episode. I mean, we are just pretty much introduced to an entirely new world where robots and humans work together, and Dolores is out there trying to start a rebellion against humanity. Now, I'm going to say this. This is not a good path to put your show on, to have a robot uprising, because we've already seen that so many times. I mean, we have Terminator, Battlestar Galactica. I mean, for God's sake, two franchises that have done it 10 times better than this will ever do. So to have her trying to start an uprising and a robot uprising at that, it's just boring. Now, if they had done what I think they were originally trying to do, which was to take over the Westworld island, that would have been a little bit different than trying to do world domination, which is what she's trying to do. And it's just, it's a story that's been done 100 times before in better ways. Could they pull this off? Yes, they could. Do I believe they can? No. Because they won't make Dolores the bad guy. They really won't. She'll be the sympathetic woman who's fucking only doing all these bad things because a man's made her. And that's boring. If you make her the villain, like the real villain, like she does very terrible things, then yeah, this show could work. But they won't do that because, again, you can't make a woman the main villain. It has to be a man. Again, this is only episode 1. I could be wrong. Maybe they are trying to swing us into that route, but come on. They're not going to make her that. We are in the woke era right now. Yes, it's dying, but they're just never going to do that. So I think it's a shame. But the rest of the episode was okay. It was boring at some points. Not really much interesting stuff. We didn't really see much of the world. I mean, we saw little bits of the world and certain apps, if you've seen the episode. But we didn't really see what country they were in. I think they were in America. But we just didn't, see much of the world. We were just kind of stuck with Dolores most of the time. So, and Caleb. Sorry. We also see Bernard in this episode. Find out what he's been doing. I'm trying to stay away from spoilers, but I think I should just go into spoilers soon. So I'm just gonna give it my rating for people who are only watching this for the non-spoilers. I'd say give this episode a shot. I mean, there's not really much harm in it. I'm not gonna go into any more detail, but I'll give this episode a 5. I mean, it wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, 5 is 5. 5 out of 10. I'd say give the episode a shot. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, then you can avoid this series. So that's the end of my non-spoiler review. We're going to spoilers now. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, go away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the episode starts off with us being in a scene with a businessman who's very angry. Apparently he tried to have a deal brokered, but it fell through. Guy he's talking to tells him to calm down. His wife then tells him that the chef has cooked something for them. He says he doesn't give a fuck about the chef. He gets very angry and he pretty much just goes to he pretty much just goes to bed. He sets the security. He's very security driven, I think. That's not how you say it. Well, he's very... Hold on. Well, he's obsessed with his security. Let's just say that. Yeah, so he goes to bed. He ends up waking up. He tries to talk to his house, because his house is computerized. House is ignoring him. Apparently it's been disabled. Doors are locked. Then we see Dolores in the pool swimming. She comes out. She talks to the German guy. Pretty much tells him, "Listen, I know what you did. I know what you did at the park," because apparently he was a guest at the park, and he didn't really do nice things. She then tells him, "I also know what else you've done. I know you killed your wife." He then makes the excuse like, "No, she killed herself." She pretty much laughs and says, "That's not true. We both know it." So he pretty much begs for his life. She says, "I've already nicked your money. Now all I want is the files that you have." Because apparently she's trying to gather files in this episode. And I think those files are to blackmail certain people or kill certain people. I'm not really sure. We don't really find out much about the files. He gives her the files to live. She walks away. He grabs a golf club to try and kill her, but it turns out it was an illusion. He then falls into the pool, smashes his head on the side of it, and dies. So she pretty much killed him because she also put a banned computer thing on in his eyes that pretty much fooled him. Then the wife comes out and Dolores says, "I freed you," and then that scene ends. We then go to a scene with Caleb, who wakes up in his bed. He starts talking to someone on his phone, who is a friend of his, we think. He tells him about his life, you know, how he's struggling at work. He's trying to get new jobs, but it's not really working out for him. And that he's dealing with certain things, which we find out later what they are. He then explains about his job, how he works with robots on buildings, I think with cables, hooking them or something. But it turns out, daytimes he's working with robots on buildings, at night he actually is working with criminals with an app called, what is it called? Hold on. Rico, that's what the app's called, Rico. And this app's pretty much just like, it's a criminal's guide to, it's like a criminal Facebook basically. Like, if you need a job done, you put it on Rico, then if someone wants to help you in that job, you click it, then it sends you an address to go to. He meets up with two people. They're pretty much, they give him something to help him with the robbery, and he agrees to the job. They then rob a cash machine, and that's the end of that. Then the scene goes to the woman from last season. I'm not sure what her name is, who's now the head of the company. But she meets with the board. Board are not really happy that she's in charge because she's not fully in charge. She's only head of the company for a little bit. They kind of tell her that they need to close down Westworld because it lost them a lot of money. She kind of tells them that, listen, the park's making us money, it's dangerous there, that's why we put it in the name, that's why we put it in the full disclosures. But most of the board do not agree. She then tells them about the algorithm that she's working with, who is apparently a member of the board now. The board don't seem happy to hear that they're now being bossed around by a computer. She also says they got to make more robots, basically, which is pretty much Dolores talking through her, and I think Dolores is the computer as well. That's a part of the board, but there you go. I'm not really sure why they need to build more hosts, because that's what they call them hosts, if the park isn't doing well. Because one of the board members, I think, says the park's losing money, so it must be people not coming to the park anymore. So why are they making more hosts? So I don't know why I didn't really ask that. She also talks about the fact she's trying to privatize the company, and that they have fired a lot of park members and board members. But then she says something stupid that I can't believe they put this in this. This is the SJW stuff, by the way. She says, robots don't kill people, people kill people. Now, if you don't know what that means by SJW standards, it's guns don't kill people, people kill people. So it's pretty much a slap at gun owners in America. I'm not American. I don't really care about guns. No problem if Americans want to buy guns. That's not my problem. I don't live there. That's their law. It's not mine. So putting this in this show, again, it just shows where this series is pretty much going. It's not going anywhere good, unfortunately. So that's the end of that scene. Oh, she also talks about Bernard and Dolores. She tells the board that Dolores is dead. which she pretty much is lying to them, which you can see in the picture. They definitely meet each other. And she also says they are looking for Bernard. Scene then goes to Bernard, who is working on a farm with cattle, and Bernard finds a cow who's broken his leg. Farmer comes out and tells him there's enough meat on the cow so they can pretty much kill it now. Turns out Bernard's not just working on a farm, he's working in a slaughterhouse. He walks through the slaughterhouse. Two people recognise him but don't approach him. We then go to a scene where he starts doing tests on himself to make sure nobody's been screwing around with him. Because again, if you know from last season, apparently, he was forgetting a lot of things. And when he started remembering stuff, he just found out that his old boss, I forgot his name, was inside him and controlling all his abilities and making him kill people he didn't want to kill. Sorry, I just got back with Dolores in a car, who's going to a party in a restaurant to meet with the head of a company. She then meets with that guy. Turns out she's going out with this dude. This woman starts getting very suspicious of her, asking a bunch of questions. Dolores just shrugs it off. She then sits down with a bunch of rich idiots who start talking a bunch of nonsense. Apparently, one of them thinks that they live in an imaginary world. Now, I don't know. This could be just me, but I kind of think that what if that's true? Now, and it sounds stupid, but what if this entire Westworld thing isn't over yet? What if Dolores is still in the park, but she thinks that she's gone to the real world? Because I did read a rumour that this was Future World. So Dolores might still be in the park, but they're in Future World, where it looks like real humanity. And everybody in the park, everybody in this show now is a host. Now, if that turned out to be true, that would be fucking amazing. But I doubt it's true. I really do. I mean, it would be a great episode. I mean, it would be a great season if it turned out that was true. That they were still in Westworld. She had been fooled. And this whole thing had just been a human plan to see what robots would do if they ever rose up against humanity. It would be smart. But again, I really doubt that that the writers would be that smart at this point, especially with them trying to go down the SJW route. She then talks to one of the guys about humanity having some sort of part of the brain that makes them susceptible to believing in God or believing in a higher power than themselves, and that scene ends. Oh, then the Scottish guy calls over the head of the company that she's with, tells him about a meeting he has to attend. He goes back to her and says, "Can we meet up tomorrow for lunch?" She agrees, and then that scene ends. We then go back to Caleb, who is gone for a job interview. He's still talking to his friend in the background. He then goes to see a psychiatrist about his PTSD, because it turns out he's got PTSD. He doesn't really know what he's doing there. The only reason he goes to those meetings is if he doesn't, then the government will stop paying for it. And if he ever does need a psychiatrist, he kind of thinks he's hedging his bets, basically. He just comes there just to make sure he doesn't lose the ability to go there. It then turns out that the person he's talking to isn't his friend. It's apparently a app on his phone that lets you talk to your real friend. I mean, talk to a friend that you've lost, and like he's really there. So we find out. He then goes back to the Rico app to do some more jobs with his, well, with people he knows. He then gets a message on the app, tells him he has to go to a party to deal with something. He arrives there, turns out he's got to deal with a druggie who's overdosed on something. The people there that are his friends tell him, listen, we can't call the police because if we do, he'll go down for a very long time. So Caleb deals with the guy, manages to knock him out and then take him to the hospital. Then go to Dolores and this guy that's head of the company, who are in a helicopter thing, who are heading to his company. They arrive there. Turns out that what Dolores is looking for is at this company. It's a massive machine memory thing, which is what she's looking for. I'm not sure what she's looking for, but when the guy tells us about it, it apparently predicts the future or something, or gives people some sort of a job. So it's pretty much a fortune teller. I don't really know, but it pretty much is just a very smart brain that I think Dolores wants to take control of, to take down humanity. So they talk for a little bit. Then the same Scottish guy comes over to drag him to the meeting. He then tells Dolores he has to go to the meeting. He does. Dolores then follows him in a bike that she nicks. She goes to a building on the opposite side of the street to spy on the meeting. We don't see who's in the meeting, which is a woman who tells the guy that they think someone's broken into the system that his father created. So pretty much this guy that she's been dating is just, well, he's pretty useless, and he's just head of the company because his dad gave him the company. He acts a bit tough to the woman and says, listen, there's no problem on my end, the leak must have came from your end. She then threatens to kill him if he doesn't sort out the leak, and then says, you're nothing because your daddy gave you everything. That annoys him and he walks off. We then go back to Caleb, who's talking with his friend again. He talks to his friend a lot over the phone in this episode. He then gets a phone call from the company that he did the interview for, that tell him he didn't get a job. Caleb then tries to ask this guy that he's talking to, what can I do better next time? The guy says, you were perfect, there was nothing wrong with the application, you just weren't the fit for our company right now. Then Caleb pretty much figures out that the guy is not a guy, it's a computer, and pretty much pisses him off, which would actually do to me, because I remember those days of looking for a job and then you're asking for a fucking, like, what did you do wrong in the fucking interview, and those bastards don't bother telling you. They just say, you weren't a good fit for us, and then they end the course like, we're looking for a job, you telling us what we did wrong would help. So I remember those days. Christ, do I remember those days. Fucking annoying. So he goes back to the Rico app and then accepts another job. He meets up with a guy. Oh no, that's not it, sorry. Reading a bit too far. We then go back to, Dolores, who's with the head of the company again in his room. She notices that he has problems, tries to tell him to trust her, to talk about his problems to her. If she trusts him, if he trusts her, he should be able to talk about everything to her. So he tries to, but he tells her that he's just the head of the company. He doesn't really know much about the machine that she wants or the system she's trying to break into. She then tries to find out the name of the person who's the one who built the machine. It turns out what she's looking for is the person who built the machine, so she can take it over, I think. But the guy pretty much tells her he's just a figurehead of the company. He doesn't really do anything. He just pays the checks and gets the money and just goes to events. She then again tries to get the name of the person who created the machine, but before the guy can tell her one or the same Scottish guy comes out of nowhere, stuns her, and then pretty much tells the company, yeah, she's a spy or something. Like, all her records are fake. He then says, can we call the police? Scottish guy grabs him, throws him against the wall and says, are you fucking stupid? What we're going to tell them? We need to kill her. He then agrees. He then grabs her and takes her to that helicopter thing, and then sends out help on the app, Rico app, to get drugs that will, so they can poison her. So then that scene goes to Caleb, who accepts the job. He goes to a parking lot. Guy gives him the drugs. He then gets given keys to a car, a normal car, because apparently that's, in this world, they have self-driving cars now, all of them, and nobody drives himself. And he asks Caleb, can you actually drive that thing? So that's how you know that people aren't really driving anymore. So Caleb heads to the meet. He heads to the meet. He hands over the drugs to the guy. Guy pulls out. Caleb then starts asking too many questions. Guy pulls a gun on Caleb. Caleb pretty much tells him, "Do you think it's the first time someone's pulled a gun on me?" And he then walks away. He then sees Dolores and the Scottish guy. He seems concerned, but he just keeps walking. They give them. Then the guy gives the Scottish guy the drugs. The Scottish guy tells his men to put Dolores in the back of your car. They drive off, go to some alley to pretty much dump the body. He then tells his guys to start putting the drugs into her. They do. Turns out it doesn't really work because, unfortunately, she's a robot, so it doesn't really affect her. The Scottish guy takes over. He starts putting more drugs into her, but another car arrives. He's not sure who it is, so he walks over there with 3 guys. Turns out the car's empty, but then Dolores wakes up, kills all 3 guys in the car, and then kills 2 guys, and kills everybody else, basically. But the Scottish guy managed to escape in a car, drives off. Dolores drives after him. They get into a little car chase. Caleb's then talking to his friend on the phone app, but he's kind of sick and tired of talking to him because he's not real. So he unsubscribes to the app, and then that scene ends. Oh, and he says to the app finally, he needs to find someone real and someone to believe in again, and then ends the call. Dolores catches up with the Scottish guy, shoots him in the leg. He falls over. She starts interrogating him, asks him who created the machine. He gives him a name, Liam, but tells her she will never get close to him because he's too smart for her. Then you see the self-driving car in the back again. Turns out the person walking out is the same Scottish guy. Turns out that is a host or robot. The robot then kills the Scottish guy, and then Dolores tells the robot to get rid of the body and to go back and pretend to be that Scottish guy. A bunch of guys then turn up, firing at Dolores. Dolores is wounded. Dolores kills them pretty easily, but she's seriously wounded now. She starts walking through a tunnel. Caleb then finds her, and that scene ends. We then see Bernard, and he's looking for... Oh, I completely forgot the one scene. Yeah, the 2 guys that found Bernard, that saw Bernard, that recognised Bernard, then threaten Bernard and tell him that they're going to... well, they're going to tell the police about him, or they're going to beat the crap out of him beforehand. Bernard then turns himself on to battle mode or something. He then kills both of them and then heads off to find someone to help him. So he goes to this fishing place and tells one of the fishermen, "Do you know somebody from Westworld?" He says yes. He gets on the boat and they sail off to find the guy. because we all know who he is. It's the security guy from last season. And then the episode ends, and that's it. I think the episode's okay. I did like some points of it, but I do think there's other things that are problems. Again, Dolores is a bad guy. I mean, if anybody says she's the hero, fuck off. She's just a bad guy who wants machines to take over the world. And it's pretty much the SJW mind agenda, isn't it? I mean, she wants to replace humans with hosts, and SJWs want to replace men with women, or SJWs with, real freedom lovers. I don't know. But it's just the mindset. This is not a hero character, okay? She's a villain. And Caleb's going to pretty much be her replacement for Toby. So he's just going to be a cuck for her. He's just going to do her jobs. He's going to believe in her, and she's going to be the good guy and that he believes in. So Teddy, not Tony, Teddy. He's just a replacement for Teddy. There could be real potential in this season. There really could be. I'm not just going to shit on this to shit on it. I do believe that this series could have been good. But the problem is, there's SJW agenda here. And there is. I mean, for God's sake, robots don't kill humans, humans kill humans. That's exactly what those gun guys say. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Now again, I don't really have anything to say about the fucking Americans' gun laws, because again, I'm not American. I don't deal with it. That's them. That's their life. That's their culture. Like again, I don't want an American telling me that we should have 100 guns in our streets. I don't think I should be able to tell Americans you shouldn't have any guns. It's not my place. And by the way, this show is saying that. It's just stupid. So there is SJW politics in this series, and I think that's going to be a very, very, very dangerous future. But that's the end of my video. Please like this video if you liked it. Please dislike it if you dislike it, and do comment below and tell me, did you like this episode of Westworld? And if you like my video, do think about subscribing and sharing my videos. And I hope to see you later. Entertainment Soldier. Bye.